Welcome to a unique episode of My Dad Used to Play Hockey. I'm Zach Kinderchuk. I'm your host, but I'm not your only host today. I'm really happy to be joined by the three hosts of Snow the Goalie, the second best Flyers podcast.
That's it. I'm done.
Right. You just send shockwaves through Russ.
Russ Joy, Anthony Sanfilippo, Chris Terrian. Hey, thank you so much for joining me today.
What's up, Zach? Good to be here, buddy.
Great to be here, Zach. Thanks for having us. Thanks for making this happen.
But we're not the topic today. Joining us also is Flyers trainer, one of the most decent men you could possibly meet, Jim McCrossin. Thank you so much for making some time for us today.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Great to see you, Jimmy. And how, I guess first off, I know it's Zach's, but how's it feel a season to end like that? It almost felt for probably most of us like it was just never going to end at some times, right? I mean, how elated are you in a sense that at least the season's over? I mean, dealing with the injuries, but it was a very disappointing year in terms of point climbing and playoff aspirations. How are you, Jimmy, with the season wrapping up?
I mean, you've been there. I mean, you never want to end like we ended. And you can point fingers at everything. We as a team, everybody just didn't do what we were supposed to do. I mean, everybody had high aspirations for us, and the wheels fell off sometime in October, and that's not good. I mean, that wasn't good at all. You could look at injuries that may have plagued us, but other teams have injuries. You could look at players that didn't perform well, right? And I think everybody has to take a good long look in the mirror and see what you could do better, including myself. I mean, I probably analyze myself more than anybody. That like, what could we possibly do better next year to reduce some of these injuries or reduce the risk of an injury to a player? And you just keep on reassessing. So. Keeping the fingers crossed. I know that before we came on, you were talking about myself, and I hope to be here again next year. Barring any foreseen health issues. Right now, dealing with cancer, a terminal cancer. Let me if you don't mind, I'll just start at the beginning for some of the people that I was diagnosed back on June 26, 2020, but I wasn't told till June 10th, 2010 or 2021. My bad, 2021. The reason being, they said I didn't have symptoms, and I did have symptoms, but I didn't know what those symptoms were. I thought, that Chris, we worked out together for many years, and you just think it's aches and pains from working out, maybe old age.
Jimmy, we were doing that show together. Remember the medical series in 2020, that fall. So you must have been feeling it then.
I was. The doctors have told me that I've probably been dealing with this since about 2009. It all has to do with my blood platelets. They started to elevate. Normal blood platelets are anywhere between 250,000 to 300,000. Mine went up to 2009 to over 400,000, then up to 600,000. Then eventually they got up to 1.6 million. And why they did what they did, I'm not sure. And I'm going to speak about the doctors at a local hospital here in Philadelphia. And so when I was finally diagnosed and I was told that I had a year to 3 to live, I figured, you know what, I'm going to go out and find out who the best doctors are. So I called Oscar Lindbaum's doctor, Dr. Hartner, who I got to know very well through Oscar's treatments, and I told him what was going on. And he and his assistant, his PA, Letitia, got back to me and said, you want to go up to the Mayo Clinic and see Dr. Telefari and Dr. Genget. They're two of the best in the world. And from July through early February, I was seeing them. And they said, no, that's not true. You don't have a year to 3 to live. Then I was told about a trial at the Cleveland Clinic with Dr. Aaron Gerds. That's my treating doctor now. and about a medical trial that they're doing up there for people like myself with myelofibrosis. And there is no cure for it, but they put me on medication that really helped with my symptoms. And my symptoms were bone pain. If any of you ever had any type of bone injury, you know that bone pain can be horrific. It started really flaring up on me to the point that I just couldn't work anymore. Through the holiday season, through Thanksgiving, all the way up through Christmas, I was hospitalized the week before Christmas. I couldn't walk. It was the worst pain I ever felt. I was on morphine. I was on Percocet. Nothing was touching it because these drugs don't touch cancer pain. So finally, they got me involved in the medical trial with Dr. Gerds at the Cleveland Clinic. And since then, I feel great. I've got to be honest with you. I mean, my pain's still there, but instead of a 10 out of 10, it's a 2 out of 10. I get a shortness of breath. My spleen was very enlarged. It's starting to shrink now. And my blood markers are starting to come back into normal range. And that's what these medications do. They improve your quality of life. Now, in the pipeline, hopefully within 2 years, there's going to be another medical trial that comes down. And this medicine is going to either stop the progression of the cancer or reverse the progression of the cancer. And I'm hoping to keep myself healthy enough to get in this trial too. And if it can do what these little things are doing for me, that's my medicine. Mm-hmm. You know what? I'd be in hog heaven because it's gonna just help prolong my life. And so.
Jimmy, I'm gonna follow up, guys, and you guys take over. I just wanted to follow up what you said at the beginning. You said depending on how the treatments go, you'd like to continue. And I guess the question would be, if someone says you got a diagnosis of 1 to 3 years, what's the incentive for you to go back? Would it be the quality of the meds and how your body reacts to these trials?
Yeah, I'm going to. I've spoken to Chuck Fletcher and our GM, mm-hmm. and that I would never want to be a burden on the team. And when how it is, Chris, when you travel. I mean, pack up, let's go to the airport through, and you're on the plane.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be lagging behind. And I want to be able to do my job as the director of sports medicine to the best that I can possibly do it. And if the markers come back in June saying that my cancer has progressed and that that I do have X amount of years, 1 to 3 years, then it's time to think long and hard. The biggest thing that I got going on up here, and I'm a mental midget sometimes, you never want to go out the way we went out as a team. I would feel like I quit the team if I did that, and I don't want to do that. I want to be here for the rebuild or what. And I'm no dummy. It's not going to change like that overnight. It could take a lot of nights, but I want to be part of that. Deep down inside, I'm a Philadelphia Flyer. I mean, I want to help get us back up. One of the things I miss the most is the crowds. You've been there during playoff time, be it at the Spectrum or at the Fargo Center, and how loud they get and how boisterous our crowds get. That's one more. I pray that I can listen to it one more time and be on the bench because I get goosebumps listening to it. Zach, I talked to your dad about how it was at the Cup days. He comes in and we BS all the time, and I love it. And that it's just one more shot, not at the Cup, because once you're in the playoffs, it's a crapshoot. Look at 2010. We weren't even supposed to be there, and we got there. And you don't know where you can go, but anyway, it's a long-winded response, Chris, to your answer that I don't want to end if I don't have to end on a season like this, especially the way I was for the first 6 months of that season. I wasn't the same Jim McCrossin that I am now. And thank God to modern medicine and the doctors that are taking care of me. I mean, they got me to where I feel good. I work out every day. My diet's always been good. Yeah. I'm trying to beat this because I know what they told me, that there is no cure. But like I said, the doctors at the Cleveland Clinic are saying, no, man, there's stuff in the pipeline that's in the second phase of trials. Just hang in there, and you got hope, and that's what I'm hoping for.
And Jimmy, I mean, not obviously that should be motivation enough, right? I mean, just that alone, having the doctors say that to you, that should be motivation enough to keep fighting and try and hang in long enough to be part of that. But how much of the motivation is it to be constantly doing the things that you've done and done so well for so long, and be with these players who are like family to you and always have been and always will be? I mean, there's a lot of stories that any of us can tell about your relationships with players and how you continue them long after they're out of Philadelphia, not with the team any longer. But how much of it is that? I mean, is just being with the guys and not just helping them be healthy and be at the top of their game, but also to be around them and be around them because they're like a family to you.
Yeah, that's a great point, Anthony. I Chris, you could probably attest to this too. It's like a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And you're part of something very special, and you don't want to lose that. And now I see younger boys coming up, the Cateses, the Tards, the Bobby Brinks, and you want to be part of that, almost to help raise them into the next level. But to be part of that brotherhood and to lose it, and to be dealt what I got dealt with over the summer, I just don't want to go through two things like that right now. I don't know if I could take it. And it means a lot to be part of the organization. You're right. I mean, through you saying about staying in contact with players throughout the years, and Chris and I are real good friends. Johnny Leclerc, Eric Lindros, Mark Cowell, God bless Brad McCrimmon. I mean, I still talk to his wife at times, and now seeing their kids come up through the ranks, like Sammy Kapanen. Sammy Kapanen's back with the organization, and I saw his son Jasper's playing for Pittsburgh, and darn good player, came over to me, he shook my hand and says, "Do you remember me?" I said, "Man, I remember the day you were born." Yeah, they're the little things that you miss, and so that's the brotherhood I'm speaking about, and being part of a team. And forget about the organization. It's the players that you want to be around. And don't get me wrong, the organization, but it's the players who talk to you, and they're the ones that pick up the phone. And I've had so many phone calls from players from the 80s, 90s, 2000s call me regarding my condition, and I thank you for that. And I think I counted over 1,000 people, be it emails and texts and phone calls. That's thank you, the city of Philadelphia. Thank you, the hockey world, because the hockey world is a tight knit community, and to me it's great. That's an extended brotherhood there.
And Jimmy, you're one of the reasons that it is a brotherhood. I wish I were like Sammy Kapanen's kid and had played hockey, but my dad got me onto a soccer field for whatever reason. But you make it feel like a brotherhood because you not only help the Flyers, but you help the Flyers alumni, and then you also help the Flyers alumni families.
Yes.
You helped my brother rehab his ACL.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
amazing, man. And
that's a few years back.
It's a few years, and he tore it again afterwards. But he, every time I talk to him about you, he is just nothing but grateful. And I was talking to my dad earlier this morning, and he said Paul Holmgren once told him that if we paid Jim McCrossin by the hour, we couldn't afford him because that's how much time you dedicate. So this podcast is this is a very big thank you. So thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank all you. I've never thought that being here was like work. It's a passion. And I always go with my grandfather always said, when work becomes work, and it's time to leave. And when you lose that passion, of getting up every morning and going to do what you do, what you're passionate about, then it's not work. And it's a love. And I love what I do. So,
Can I ask you, Jim?
Yes.
We all read Anthony's story.
Yes.
Wonderfully written.
Yes, it was.
When did you first make the connection that it was? And I think this is going to lead to a rather large investigation into ventilation systems and the chemicals that they use with Zambonis. when did you first make the connection, or how did you make the connection that it was the Zamboni at the skate zone that was making you and Sal eventually sick?
When I spoke, it wasn't. Great question. It's when I went to the Mayo Clinic, and they asked if you were exposed to anything in terms of chemicals, and then I went to New York to see a Dr. Mark Wickenford. Dr. Wickenford took care of all the first responders in 9/11, and many of those men and women got sick from the toxic fumes. And so he did his studies too. So I was running down parallel paths. I was at the Mayo. I was up at New York University, and Dr. Wickenford said more than likely it was the benzene that attacks your cells, your blood cells. And sorry, I get winded. It's part of the symptoms. But and he says he wanted to know how the layout is where we work, like not just here. I'm at the skate zone right now. Excuse me, not just at the skate zone, but at the Wells Fargo Center. Wells Fargo Center, we're pretty far away. The layout here at the skate zone, the Zamboni's room's right outside my door.
Yes, right there.
Yeah. So when they pull the Zambonis out, they would be started up, kicking up fume. And as they open up the doors, go clear the nets out and all that good stuff, we'd get hit with benzene and benzene, be it in diesel and gasoline or propane, you're still going to exude benzene fumes. So that's how I found out. I mean, it was a doctor or doctors talking to me about it. If you speak with the doctors at the Mayo or Cleveland Clinic, they're real good because they really don't want to get involved with that aspect of things, like how I got it. They want to get involved in curing me. When I went up and spoke with Dr. Gerds and said I had 1 year to 3 to live, he says, "I'll never tell you that." He says, "You got to take each day, and you don't know what's going to come the next day. It could be a breakthrough." He's given me hope. He's changed this completely, my mental aspect. I don't feel, when I go up to the Cleveland Clinic, even at the Mayo Clinic, they said I was the healthiest sick man they knew. So I pride myself on that, and I'm going to keep myself that way. A good buddy of mine, Pat Croce, he had cancer, and I did a podcast with Pat, and we were doing about exercise, and this is before I even knew I had cancer, about how important it is to keep yourself in shape because you're battling every day for your life. And that I figured I'm doing everything I possibly can do, nutrition wise, sleep wise, whatever I can do, I'm doing it, all right, to help my doctors help me. That's the least I can do. Because
Jimmy,
yes,
sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
I wanted to go back to something that you said earlier. I want to make sure that I understand this right and people who are listening understand this right. The timeline, the initial timeline of when you were diagnosed versus when you were told. It wasn't the same day. Can you touch on that one more time?
Yeah.
As we kind of look forward.
My platelets, I get yearly physicals just like the players do. I go every June and get everything done from my skin to whatever, dermatology to dentist. And anyway, I got my blood work done in 2008 and showed an elevated of blood platelets. And if anybody knows, I had 18 surgeries on my left arm, and it's chopped up like a shark ate it. And they thought it could be an underlying inflammation from the 18 surgeries I had because I had 3 crushed nerves. The next year it goes up. Next year it goes up, and they keep on going up. And it wasn't until 2020 they decided to do a bone marrow biopsy. And that's definitive to show you if you have blood cancer. It wasn't until 2021 that they gave me the diagnosis. That they told me. They knew in 2020, didn't tell me, said I had no symptoms. That's like saying to a lady that you're pregnant, but you're not showing, so you're really not pregnant yet.
Yeah.
So I was a little taken back by that. That's why I decided to change doctors. I figured that.
That's a really important clarification, because obviously in the course of that year or so, I mean, the sooner you catch these things, obviously
100%.
the more impactful, and totally understandable that you'd switch, doctors after that.
I'm a researcher. I would have researched out the wazoo to find out what I could have been doing different for that 1 year.
Jimmy, where were you when after Anthony's great reporting that he did on his story and stuff and got it out? What were your thoughts when? I don't want to get into any legal stuff, but when you read what Comcast had to say about the fact that there's no merit to it, yet you're going through these parts of your body that are changing, what do you think of something like that? How do you deal with something like that internally?
I like to think everybody has their opinion, and I have mine, and I'm not going to give it. But they've never asked me, so I understand. I understand the legal aspect of things, why they may have said something like that. I just wish somebody would have sat down and spoke with us, and find out what we're going through.
Yeah.
You've been there. You know how it's like if you got injured years ago. Mr. Snyder would have been on the phone with you.
Yeah.
And I know it for a fact. And I God bless him. I mean, I was with Peter Forsberg down in Carolina when he had his foot surgery, and I got a phone call with Mr. Snyder, and I start to give him an update. He goes, "Jimmy," he said, "I'm not calling about Peter. I'm calling about you. Are you okay? Do you need anything while you're down there?" And he did the same thing when we were down in Nashville when Eric and I stayed a couple of days with him at Baptist Hospital. I mean, I just wish. I just wish if you'd speak with us, what we're going through. Like you know what? Like, it's tough to climb stairs right now because I suck wind, because I'm not producing the cells that I should be producing. And to say that it has no merit, well, to each his own.
Tell us really quickly, Jimmy, about last Sunday, what your day looked like when you guys played the Penguins. You guys had because I know what it was like, but just give people an idea of what your day was like, and then the next day when the team went to Chicago.
Yeah, well, I worked. Well, it's same game day. It was a 4:00 game. We had our extras, or we did rehab. Got to the game, got everything set up. Worked the first period. Had to get changed. Go catch a plane to the Cleveland Clinic, and be there for testing at 7:00 in the morning. Tested from 7 to 2:00. Got on the plane, went to Chicago, covered the game in Chicago, then went to Winnipeg with the boys. Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, but that's my. I don't like to say it's my job, but that's what I'm expected to do.
But you go far above your job, because can we talk a little bit about why your arm is torn up? And it was you doing something you didn't. It's not even part of your job description.
No, but I understand that. What it was is that a big trunk, and I tried to brace it, and you can't see, but I just kind of braced it like that, and they said it was like the perfect storm. The way my muscles contracted, I crushed 3 nerves and had to have multiple surgeries, and it's numb. I don't have the full use of it, but it's functional. And you're right. Was it my job? No, but was it an accident? A sheer accident. And it was unfortunate because thank goodness it's my left arm, because I'm a righty, but neither here or there. But again, I had fabulous doctors that helped me out to the best of their abilities, and they got it to where it's probably about 80%. So, but you do things in the course of life that you don't know what to expect, and sometimes accidents happen. Never once did I blame anybody for what I have going on now. I would never point the finger at anybody. I think it was just a faulty design. And because back in the year 2000, I don't know of anybody. I know that people knew about benzene because of my research. The people who work in the refineries, people have gotten diagnosed with myelofibrosis. But I don't truly believe anybody intentionally said, "Oh man, we're going to kill Jim McCrossin and Sal Rafa off." No, it's not just a bad design. And
well, Jimmy, with that said, How important for you is it that this story is now out there and people know about it for awareness purposes, not necessarily for your personal situation, but when you think about it, how many little ice rinks are there all over North America, all over the world, where this thing might have been taking place and people had no idea, and people might have gotten sick, maybe have died from a blood cancer and didn't know anything about it because they didn't think they were being exposed to anything, and so it almost makes it that this could be just the tip of the iceberg, so that people start to learn more and more about that environment and how it could be dangerous.
That's a great point. I grew up out in Delaware County. We had one ice rink at the time. It was called Westtown. It burnt down. They rebuilt it now, and it's I haven't been back there since I've been a kid. But we had an old Zamboni that would just, it would just kick out exhaust. And but you think about all the ice rinks that do have that going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have the proper ventilation, that they don't have the proper ventilation, so it sits there. So mom and dad and brothers and sisters are watching either Johnny or Susie play hockey, and you're sucking in fumes for an hour, and it may be close to 2 hours. By the time it's all done, you change and get unchanged and leave. But I believe that things happen for a reason, and not that I'm asking for cancer or ask for cancer, but if it can save other people's lives, it's worthwhile to bring attention to it. Because Chris, you grew up in Canada, you know those small ice rinks more than we had when I was a kid here, and but they don't have the ventilation, and many of the ice rinks we go to and practice it on the road don't have the proper ventilation. So at the National Hockey League medical meetings, we're going to bring it up to take a look at your practice rinks. Your big rinks pretty much are standard. They're not butting up against the locker room or medical rooms. But the smaller rinks, heaven knows what they got going on. Yeah. So if we can bring it to the forefront, and that people can change over to electric Zamboni. And again, I like what you said. We'll use Zamboni just as a name. Mm-hmm. But if they can change over to the electric and make it safe for everybody, so somebody doesn't have to worry about myelofibrosis, then it's all been for good.
And I'm sorry, pardon my ignorance on this, but has the skate zone indicated that they're going to move towards an electric Zamboni, or?
I know that we have two. They bought an electric one this summer. Jeez. And they still have a propane one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you mentioned earlier about the proximity, we talked about this on our show a little bit, about the proximity, and you kind of touched on it as well, that the Zamboni, I guess, is effectively idling on the other side of the wall, right, from your office. Yeah. Since you and Sal and your legal team have kind of raised these concerns, and this is a longer process, it's not as if this just popped up overnight. Since that has happened, and since the initial concerns were raised with the organization, have they changed the proximity of where these Zambonis are stored, where they idle, and the entire process of bringing them out? That's one. And two, have they changed the protocol of where you guys are in proximity to them when they're running, especially nearby?
The answer is no to both.
Wow.
No. We've asked to be moved, and it was denied. And
did they give a reason why? Why they would deny?
Well, they sent a letter in response. What I could do is get that letter for you. It was a whole. It was a letter, and Chris and Anthony, you may know him, Phil Weinberg, who's deceased now. I wrote a letter to one of the attorneys asking if we could be moved, and just until we can get everything cleaned. And they said it was deemed cleaned, and so we haven't been moved. But if Mr. Weinberg wrote a letter, and I'll get you that letter.
But Jimmy, are you just spending less time in that particular office? Just now that you know the
Yeah,
situation?
I try to. I do. I do. Um, I, like it's tough though because this is where we do our treatments. I do
Yeah.
all my rehab down in the weight room, and I'm pointing down that way. And Anthony, you may know it, and Chris, Russ, I don't know if you've ever been here, but and Zach, I don't think you ever been to our practice facility. Have you here?
I have, yeah.
So, oh, you have. So we're down in the weight room. I can do all my rehab, but if I'm doing treatments in the morning, getting the boys ready, I have to be in the medical room.
Have any of the players, since this has happened, and obviously since the notion of how this may have come to pass and how the illnesses may have been created, exacerbated, and everything, has there been any reluctance on the part of any players of getting treatment done in that room? Have any players expressed a concern about, hey, have the doctor said how much exposure? Like, I have to assume, and maybe it's ignorant of me to do so, but I have to assume that if I were a player, if I were somebody who had been in or around that room in any way or at skate zone for an extended period of time, that I might myself start to kind of question, well, could this apply to me? Even if I'm not right there, as long as you guys are in that room, has there been any, conversation? I don't want you obviously to disclose any names if there have been, but has there been that feeling from players or people in, that you work with?
Nobody's come out and said that. And between Sal and I, we try to limit how long somebody will be in here for. We do, like I said, if I was going to get somebody ready, I'll do it down in the weight room if I can, to limit any type of exposure. Um, we've spoken with players. Every team has a rep for the PA. This player's meeting with the Players Association um, soon to go over it. We brought it up to the Health and Safety Committee of the NHL and haven't heard back from them. And that was early on the process. So we're just waiting. Now they may, and I may not be privy. They may have reached out to Comcast, and I don't know. So all I know is that the league has not reached out to either Sal or I or the Players Association.
Jimmy, how are you still? You seem to be still so at peace. When I think like the other four of us just feel so angry. How do you? And you're still so loyal to the team. I feel like there's a lesson to be learned there from you to us.
It's not the Flyers, and was I angry? Yeah, I was angry. Was I upset? Yeah, and I am. Don't get me wrong. I mean, nobody wants to be given a death wish, and I've always believed that I'd be the first one in my family to break the 100 barrier. Though my mom's getting close, she'll be 88 on Thursday, but uh, I don't think I'll see that unless something dramatically happens, which I hope. But it's like I get upset, but I get upset, but I and I ask why, and then I try to figure out, well, just like I was saying, why maybe it's happened to me to bring awareness so other kids so somebody else can live, and that my colleagues throughout the NHL, AHL, whatever level it is, are going to be able to live, and I just have to have faith, like I said, that they're going to have a cure soon. And when they first told me there is no cure, but then I believe in this doctor so much, and I mean, I trust him with my life, literally trust him with my life. So that's all I got right now. I got my medical team, and I got all my family, my friends, I had people coming out of the woodwork. I didn't realize I knew that many people, but I feel so blessed in that regard, but as supporting me. And it's, so it makes me feel like I'm a lucky guy. I feel like Lou Gehrig, saying that. But really, when you're so far down and you get that much support, it does make you think, how fortunate you are for everything you did prior to this event, and then how can I make this a positive going forward? and bring awareness. But I just, like I said, you like to have a little bit of support from both the Players Association and the NHL, saying, okay, they recognize it. This is how we're going to look at it. We're going to look at all the practice rinks. We're going to look at all the rinks, and at least the NHL will be taken care of. And maybe then it'll be the A, then East Coast League, and all the way down college rinks. And hopefully people get it'll all get worked out. That's how I have to stay positive. I'm not, my days of being angry are done, because it's not going to get me anywhere. The damage is done, and I'm not going to waste my energy on anything that I can't, like, that's going to zap my energy. I need my energy to heal.
Jimmy, you know what? I think when one thing I think that the four of us are on, I know Russ probably doesn't have the same relationship with Zach and Anthony because we've known you longer. But one thing I can attest to is who you are as a person and what you've meant to every single player and person that's come through the building, whatever building it is. I'm grateful for you, for having known you, just to have been a friend through my afflictions I went through in my life, and I had you. And I know you just mentioned that the word that's so important in the world I travel in now, it's not hockey, is support. Yeah. And I hope and pray that the support comes for you from the league, from those outside sources. But I will tell you one thing on behalf of Anthony and Russ, Snow the goalie, and Zach. We weren't going to let it sit around and just let no support happen to you right now. It's my honor to tell you that we've set up a GoFundMe. This is a Philadelphia story, the way I look at it. And there shouldn't be one dime come out of your pocket. And this is probably one of the proudest things I can ever say is that we're here for you, brother. We want people to fill that account for you. And then, like I said, for the things that you've done and given us, Anthony, and everyone else had been around, Zach, your family. I remember Jake used to run with us when he was a kid. These little things like that. That was Jimmy that brought him out. But this is my prayer for you, Jimmy. We love you, buddy. You're a family to us all, and I hope that the Philadelphia community, which I know now from my own journeys what they mean. I know they're going to rise up for you. And Russ and Anthony, Zach, man, they did a great job with this. We love you, brother, and Robin and your family. And I'm just telling you right now, you guys jump in. You've left a mark on a lot of people. And I love you, pal. And I'm going to be there for you every step like these guys are. You're that important to a lot of people. And
yeah, Jimmy, I was telling this story. I think you heard it. I mean, if you listen to the episode, but I'll say it again. I had that nerve injury in my elbow, my wrist, and it was bothering the hell out of me. And I came to you and said, "What was your recommendation?" You had me come down in the first period of a game. The team was on the ice playing at the Wells Fargo Center to meet with the team's hand specialist to find out what was bothering me because it was hurting me so much. And they were able to figure out what the problem was and get the surgery done and fix it. And it was all from the way I was leaning on my arm when I was typing and this and that. I don't know if I ever would have probably just sat there and endured it being a knucklehead, right, and being thick-headed, and would have just endured it for however much longer and had that much more damage. And you said, no, you got to be seen, and you made it happen at really an inopportune time, but it happened. I mean, so it's things like that, those little stories that nobody really knows, and there's millions of them that you have over the course of your career. I mean, we can go through so many different people and players. I talked to Ed Moran, who I hadn't talked to in forever, former Flyers beat writer, who talked about how you helped his daughter rehab, when she had her injuries as well, when she was playing sports. Like, just out of the blue, just people called me after the story came out, and this Chris is right. This town is going to step up big for you and Sal. You guys have meant the world to a lot of people, and you're going to just see just how much you mean to them. And it's going to be coming here soon. We're gonna put it out there, and it's going to go quick. I can promise you that.
It is already out there.
We're going live today, baby. It's live. We're taking it mainstream.
We're taking it big, Jimmy.
I can't,
Jim.
I can't
Just to echo.
thank you enough, because I do what I do because I got into the profession. I truly believe that we're all blessed with gifts, and my gift is a caregiver. And I when I was a kid, I had aspirations. I wanted to be an NHL player, and high school, you get a real bad knee injury. It's probably the same story everybody says. And anyway, I was fortunate enough to get it, to be part of the Flyers. And but I do what I do because you do the right thing. You never have to worry about it, right? Like for you, Anthony, and for anybody that's what, lean on me, because at some point I'm going to lean on you. And but that's what friendships are all about, right? It's never a burden. It's about, okay, I was blessed that I can help you. Why not help you and do the right thing and get you better? Nobody wants to live in pain, and yeah. I remember you and I out in the track with those. I still got pictures of you, me, Johnny. They were great days. God's sake.
Yeah, they were good days. Jimmy used to beat my ass. And you know what? I'll make, because Jimmy's always seen me as a comedian.
Can I just say a quick story?
Yeah, you help an old beatnik reporter like Anthony with his hand. I know you're there for the.
There was two football players out there, and they wanted to run with us. One was a big, heavy-set guy, and one guy was pulling his mom in his car. So he's out in the parking lot. He was a running back, but this guy. So I asked the boys, "You mind if the guy said, hey, do you mind if I run with you?" And I said, "Let me just ask." I ask everybody. Chris goes, "Yeah, there's somebody at least we can beat." Right? He smoked our asses. He smoked everybody's ass. Where did he come from? Oh God.
Hey Jimmy, can you do me as a favor? Can you tell me about one time like Tyrion was a real dick?
I always got along. We always got along.
Zach, are you listening to our show?
My best times were when I used to go into you and Johnny's room, and on the road, and I'd sit there and just bullshit, because it was like comedy hour. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, me and Johnny were roommates for 10 years. That's a story for another day, Jimmy. We don't have enough time on the show for that. Yeah.
But yeah, Jimmy, just kind of echo what Chris said. Like, there's been several alumni that I've reached out to, and everyone is just incredibly thankful for you. You say you're a caregiver, and that's your gift. I don't know if you realize that's actually very special. A lot of people don't look out for other people, and you have devoted your life to that. So they're all thankful, and I know this. Flyers are family when we're good and when we're bad, and they're going to do whatever it takes to do the best for you.
Thank you. Thank you all. That's all I can say is thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
And it's important, that we put out for the people, and obviously Zach will put it in the description of his episode, and we'll have it on our feed as well. The easiest way to find this, you can go on GoFundMe and you can search, but we made the link. It's very simple to find, GoFundMe.com/JimmyAndSal. That's it. It's very simple. Easy to find. GoFundMe.com/JimmyAndSal. Zach got in there with the first donation. I'm going to get in there with the second one. They might be drops in the bucket right now, but I'll tell you what, I think by the time this gets out, there is going to be such a groundswell of support. I mean, we heard it immediately, and I think we all felt it immediately when Anthony put the story out. Yeah. I could tell you that typically Facebook and Twitter are full of toxic trolls and are full of horrific, I don't even know if we'd call them humans in a lot of cases, right? But unanimous approval and love and wanting to support. We've created a little community, on Twitter. Somebody said, how do we send money to Jim and Sal? And what can we do? What can we, the fans, do? And you think about it, like, these other three have a relationship with you, have memories with you. I don't. And I'm moved, and to say I'm angry at the way that this has been handled. And what I would consider to be, you take all of the things into consideration, 2 decades plus that you've given to an organization, memories that have been made with individuals, with players, yes. But you give your blood, sweat, and tears. You carry literally the scars of doing your job and going beyond the beck and call of what your job requires. And then to have to deal with silence. And there's a simple reason that the league and the Players Association are going to kick the can down the road. The same reason that, Comcast included a line they didn't have to. I spoke to a legal expert about did they have to say no merit? No, they didn't. But a lot of this is going to be nipping in the bud because they quite frankly do not want to set off a million cases across the U.S., Canada, everywhere else. And I'll tell you what, it's going to happen. And to your credit, you're able to stay calm about it, to be at peace with it. But now it's time for us and people like us to kind of pick up the torch. And we'll be angry on the behalf of you and Sal. We'll carry this message. And I'll tell you what, the Flyers community right now is not exactly rainbows and smiles. And so they will certainly carry the torch as well. But I think in the opposite side of that, and which is, to the credit of Flyers fans and to the league and to hockey fans around the world, they are a caring, compassionate group of people who are going to pick up this cause. And I hope that we can help, and this community can help you and Sal with expenses and with everything, and to just try in some way to thank you for your service to the organization, to the team. And
very least we could do,
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
What we can do.
Thank you. If I could just say, because you've been mentioning Sal, and God bless him. I mean, why it happened to both, it's a rare disease, and it happens. It's the rarest form of blood cancer, and it happens to 1 in 100,000. And I'm looking over to where he would sit. It's about 5 feet away. It's no coincidence. And I've been fortunate. Like, I'm 64. Sal's 43. He's got 2 young kids at home. My youngest be graduating next year, and but I don't know what I'm saying, but that it makes it easier when I'm talking to him, because he knows what I'm going through. I know what he's going through, and if that's any consolation, I don't know. I mean, I wish he didn't have it. God, I pray every night it doesn't morph to where I am. But anyway, I'm just babbling. I just wanted to get the point across that this is a very rare thing, and I don't want to get angry because I'm going to start getting angry about that merit thing. But
Jimmy, there's a wide range of emotions I'm sure you're going through, like something like this. And unless I know Anthony, Russ, Zach wanted to share your story. I'm happy to be a part of this, just to let people know the person you are, what you're going through. And I know that, the one thing I got out of this, I'm really optimistic about your optimism about these trials. Like, that makes me feel really good, because I want to have you around till you're 84.
Yeah, you know what?
So, we've been through.
When Ryan Ellis finally comes back.
Yeah. I want to be around. Like, my first thing when I was diagnosed, and not any tearjerkers, my oldest son said, I want you there when Dylan gets married. Promise me. Then my youngest son, Luke, Luke goes and says, Dad, are you going to be there when I have a child? I really want him to get to know you. And I'm going to get teary-eyed because couldn't promise. I still can't promise. And you just don't know how things are going to go. But as I said, I got hope now. And, any cancer survivor, anybody battling cancer, that's all you can ask for. Just give me a little hope. I'll do everything I can. You do what you can, and together, we'll make it. Like Dr. Gerd said, just take each day at a time. Live each day, and that's what I'm doing. So,
and you're doing it better than most of us, Jim.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for making time for us today.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Chris, every time I see you, I want to say thank you. Once again, I'm 41 days clean. And Chris has been a great inspiration to me. Yeah.
Like I say, Zach, I had 41 days once too, man. Now I got 11 years and 4 months, and that's the miracle of my life. And you know what? We all need to find hope somewhere in that. And I found it one day at a time. And I know Jimmy's probably not much different. I don't want to ever compare the two afflictions, but again, it's a battle, and I'm glad to hear that, kid. I really am.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. And Jim, again, the Philadelphia community is so behind you, and there's nothing that unites there's nothing that unites Philly like Flyers hockey.
Oh,
And you are as iconic as anyone who's ever worn the jersey. And I think people are learning your story now. So we are going to make this big for you. I promise you that.
Thank you. Thanks, all of you. Yeah, I'm going to lose it here in a second. So
great show, Jimmy. Thank you for joining us today, man. I mean, we'll keep in touch as we move forward.
Please.
Amazing show today. Thank you for your honesty, and guys, thank you too, Zach, for allowing us to for you to join the #1 podcast in Philly and a part of it. We were happy to have you.
Again, thank you, guys.
All right, last word. This has been My Dad Used to Play Hockey and a supporting cast
of Snow the Goalie.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Thank you. Take care.